Greetings, Divine All Blessed. Greetings, Divine All Blessed. Welcome. It's a pause, Grace Jones kind of day. I hope I don't get copyrighted for that, but I certainly do appreciate each and every one of you for always being present here at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time with the Divine Prince here on New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes here on YouTube Live. Olo D, the scourge of the town, the Lofa, the arrow shooter, Afi Alak Bangbo, Dacha Ija Wu, user of baton to cause more confusion. Listen, and ye shall hear me in the winds. Know that it is my thunder that gives a warning in the darkness. Do not dare deny me through false tongues, my daughter. Do not anger me with fences of blindness, for you must run wild and free of injustice to celebrate me, and it is you who must call forth the storms of change. For indeed, I am the storm. I am change. I am Oya, present here, embodied in the present moment in time space, and I am indeed, because my creators are all powerful, open, and receptive to all that operates for my good here and now in this present moment in time space. I am, because my ancestors are. And indeed, we stand on the shoulders of mighty, mighty ancestors. You are sitting live with me and always in archive at your leisure and convenience with the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veil, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is indeed my ever-living reality. It is crucial to the very foundation of my being, of what I stand upon, and it is indeed my answer to all challenges. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Today, what is today? April 10th, I believe. This Wednesday, April 10th, I welcome you to this shared space, this circle, this square circle of gods and goddesses here on Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes with Divine Prince. I'm always honored by your acknowledgement. I'm always honored by your taking the time in the middle of your day to be present here in this space with me on Blog Talk Radio. Today, I want to talk about Mami Wata. I've been asked many questions, received many requests, particularly in the last few days, about Mami Wata, the power of Mami Wata, who and what Mami Wata is, and how important it is for us, particularly the descendants of the Middle Passage, to be present in this moment in time space, not only with the ancestors who are always present with us, for indeed they reside within our blood, within our lineages, but indeed be present in the realm of spirit. Spirit is more powerful, more real, more evident, more efficacious than anything we can envision in the physical realm. The physical realm is indeed just an illusion, an ever-shifting change of atoms and molecules that create and recreate the physical, carnal life that we all share and inhabit here in this space, Mother Earth. But indeed, spirit transcends all boundaries, transcends all limitations, transcends all blocks. So from the onset, it has been emphatically stated that the name Mami Wata is plural, meaning it is representative of a pantheon of ancient deities. Mami Wata are not part of the Yoruba pantheon of Orisha, nor are the initiation ceremonies or means by which they are identified the same. The history of the priesthood of Mami Wata is overwhelmingly matriarchal, meaning that the Mami Watas are part of the old African matriarchal religious systems that once ruled and dominated Africa and many parts of the ancient world for thousands of years. Anyone from anywhere over the world can be born to Mami Wata for a number of reasons. We're going to talk about the mystical pantheon of Mami Wata as a deity, as a power, which is often depicted in its most ancient primordial aspects of mermaid, half human or half fish, half reptilian. Mermaids are not a recent phenomenon in African history. For example, according to Dogon creation myth, they attribute the creation of the world to the mermaids, the mermen, the fish-like creatures that we call nomas, N-O-M-M-O-S, nomas. They claim to have known about the existence of these mermen-like deities for over 4,000 years. Also, according to the Dogon mythology, the ancient home of these originally crude reptilian, half men, half women, fish-like deities of water spirits is to believe to have been the obscure and celebrated star system in the belt of Orion known as Sirius, or Sopde, or Sophde, most popularly known as the dog star of Isis. When asked where their ancestors obtained these stories of mermen and mermaids, they quickly point to ancient Egypt, to Kemet. Mermen and mermaid nymphs, worshipped as gods and goddesses born from the sea, are numerous in ancient African cultural history and spiritual mythology. Most were honored and respected as being bringers of divine law and for establishing the theological, morals, social, political, economic, and cultural foundation to regulating the overflow of the Nile and regulating the ecology, establishing days for success at sailing and fishing, hunting, of course, understanding astrology and how planetary systems affect our movements, both in water and on earth. For indeed, our bodies contain primarily water, but also earth. And also to bring punishing floods and world calamities when laws or taboos were said to be violated. Just as not all serpents were reverent, not all mermen were considered good. And in one story, the famed London naturalist Henry Lee, and this is documented in 1883, recounts in the Sea of Angola, mermaids are frequently caught, which resemble the human species. They are taken in nets and killed and are heard to shriek and cry like women. And in more contemporary stories and images, show the deity as human-like figure dressed in the latest fashions, despite these manifestations being almost universally female in appearance. Mami Wata is actually a pantheon of water deities consisting of both male and female. This is important to note, particularly as we continue to battle against the challenges of appropriation, bastardization, abominization of our culture, of our religion, in the name of pop cultural diversity, in the name of personal growth and empowerment for individuals, generally focused in on their pockets more so than the community, more so than healing. And I say it all the time, voodoo is nature. Without nature, there is no voodoo. And so you cannot claim to be working spells, working rituals, operating within the systems of ATR and not be in balance with humanity, but also in balance with nature. Always, I get started. I try and lay a foundation on my topics. I don't want my chat room to feel like I'm not seeing you. Indeed, I welcome each and every one of you, both individually and collectively. Again, for always being present here at high noon, in the middle of your day, for Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. I absolutely welcome and entertain your questions, comments, and requests. Please do type them in all capital letters so that I may be able to see them and distinguish them from just a regular general chat that's going on. Enchanted Ways, Henario Meeks or Genario Meeks, Inyanga You, Dark Soul, Jua, Danielle Jackson. I certainly do appreciate you, Blue Lilith. Thank you so much, Empress Italy. Thank you so much, Ivogo, for being present and standing in your truth. I welcome and greet each and every one of you, not only to this space, but to the conversation. I welcome your participation, your questions in the conversation. It is indeed the reason why I do this broadcast. I'm not really here to entertain, although you might find the show entertaining. I'm not really here to hear the sound of my own voice. I have scripts I could be rehearsing right now, so I could be doing other things with my voice. So I'm here for you and with you as it relates to operating authentically within that which is in us, which is a part of us. Each and every one of us, passed down through our mothers and our fathers, passed down through our lineage. Understanding that at the molecular level, we all come into the world through Mami Wata. We all come in to the world through our mothers, through the Great Mother. But then we evolve into our unique and individual paths. And in many indigenous cultures of the world, indeed, there are 5 genders, not just the 2 binary genders that are presented to us in Western culture. Some of you know that I identify as a 3rd gender. Again, clinging to my roots and my foundation and understanding of Mami Wata and the power of Mami Wata and what that is. It allows me to move in between realms, in between dimensional spaces that are normally blocked or at the least clouded for many of us. Being able to connect to earth and spirit, to ground and air in balance, and enter into the dimensional spaces. And that is why many of you are being taught, being communicated with through your dreams. Because indeed, when we are asleep and the body is at that simulated death state, if you will, and your spirit is allowed to travel, is allowed to roam, is allowed to move about without the general, the normal limitations that the physical realm, the laws of physicality place upon us, but also those that we place upon ourselves when we're inhabiting physical, many of which are divinely tuned within us. Fear, anxiety are not evil. They are indeed a part of the programming that activates your intuition, that activates your alertness, that activates your awareness. It's a sign to pay attention to what's going on, to what might be happening both within you, but then also around you, outside of you, if you will. And so we live in that Burger King, 7-Eleven, 1999, and we'll get it to you in the mail. Take a pill and it'll fix everything sort of culture. So when we look at that, even symbolically, the idea that you can eat what you want, drink what you want, do what you want, then take an acid, then take a pill, then take an aspirin, then take this pink stuff, and it'll coat it and it'll soothe it, and you won't feel what's happening. But it doesn't mean that what's happening is still not present. It's still not real. It's still not something that we need to pay attention to. So the pharmaceuticals and the ways that we soothe ourselves from the outside in can also cover over the darkness, the ugliness, the things that need to be repaired, fixed, rebuilt, re-examined. For indeed, in nature, there's a consistent growth. There's a consistent evolution. And even when a plant dies, in my garden or is destroyed by, nature, another one is coming up. 2 or 3 more are coming up. The seedlings, the babies, are then being propagated. So each of us has a responsibility, first to the ancestors, those who sit on high, but also to the small ones that come behind us. Those who in this culture are treated as somehow low, or treated as somehow less equal to an adult, a full-grown adult. So we have a great deal of responsibility. Even to those of you who don't have biological children, you still have a responsibility to your nieces, your nephews, your cousins, your neighbors, the other children in culture, in society, who are not only observing your demonstration, but they're also paying attention to what you say, what you do, how you act. Many of you who have small children know what I'm talking about. Mama can't get on the phone without the children suddenly tuning in. That they've been a wreck in a storm through the house all day until you get on the phone and you get into some kind of really adult conversation, and your children pick up on that. Your children even learn ways to mask the fact that they're hearing you and they're paying attention to you. So we've got a responsibility, each and every one of us, not just the people who are present in the room, but the people who are going to now observe and absorb this message in archive. We have a responsibility. You can't skirt responsibility. You can't outrun responsibility any more than you can karma. Karma cannot be outran. It is an illusion that some people seem to always manifest their karma right away, particularly people who tend to be on the more negative, pessimistic way of viewing life. So you see and presume karma to be right on your heel. But then we look at great people in society with great ego and great power and great money and great wealth and great position. And we wonder, where is karma with these people? And indeed, that is an illusion, because again, we're looking through earth realm. We're looking through physical. We're looking for an outside, outward, physical manifestation of something that represents that karmic retribution to us. We're not understanding that we operate in more than one dimensional space. That's really what the 5-point star is all about. It's really what the pentagram is all about. It is first representative of earth, water, fire, air, and then mind or ether. But it's also representative of how nature first, which is your cube, your square, and then man, which is the number 5, the pentagram, then activates and applies and utilizes that information. So when we look at the 6, number 6 in the 6-point star, as it is above, so shall it be below. That's the 6-pointed star, integrated, 2 triangles integrated. That shows now humanity, man and woman, operating at a prophetic level, operating like a prophet, operating in their consciousness, in their Godhead, and then actively taking responsibility, control, power of creation and recreation in your life. And that's really what we're here to do. That's really what this is about. And Mami Wata and the power and the spirits and the forces of Mami Wata are not just feminine, are not just female, but they represent the archetype of nurturing, healing, rebirth that we often reduce down to the role of woman giving birth, the symbolism, if you will, of the moon. We overlook Olokun. We have overlooked Densu. We overlook Dan, very ancient West African deities, older than your Orisha, older than the spirits that inhabit Akan, older than the deities that we often are operating in today in this modern, what I call Orisha romantic environment. Much older spirits that are not male nor female, really, that transcend physicality. Remember, we're talking about the realm of spirit. We're talking about the realm of water. We're talking about the realm of air. In some cases, the realm of fire. And in all cases, the realm of ether and spirit. So I invite you to be empowered. I invite you that being empowered is greater than ego. Being spiritually empowered is greater than material wealth and possession. It's greater than that. It's greater than anything we can imagine in the physical realm. For indeed, without spirit, there will be no physical realm. Without mind, without the air, the ether, there will be no physical. There's I guess you would call it a limerick. If a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody around to hear it, see it, witness it, doesn't make a sound, you know. And again, it's a coded reference to how we operate in the realm of spirit. Don't get caught up in all of this out here, all this physical stuff. Don't get caught up in that. Pay attention to what's real, and what's real is spirit, integrity, truth, righteousness, morality, power when you need it, healing when you need it, the ability to move through a block when you need it, and to survive that, to move on to bigger things, better things. We've got to get healthy, people. And that illness, that lack of health shows up inwardly, but then it shows up outwardly. But we get caught up in looking at the outward manifestation of it. And it's so much deeper, so much bigger. So I offer empowerment. I offer something greater than wealth. I offer something greater than, can you help me get my man back? Donna Ross Mahogany. I offer something bigger than that. And I invite you to be a part of that process. Over the last few days, I've been sending out invites, both in the ether, both literally, figuratively. I've been sending out invites. And I've got a few responses, but you got to be more direct than that, beloved. D, you got to be bigger than that. You got to be more specific than that. I told y'all I got Asperger's. If you're not specific, don't expect me to look all out here to figure out what you're talking about. I don't have that kind of time. You got to be clear. You got to be direct. You got to be specific. You got to know what you want. When you come to me, you got to know what you're asking me for. And many of these opposing forces are dependent on you not asking clearly for what it is that you need. They're dependent on you not being clear about what it is that you want. And it is in that space that you fall victim to trickery and polytricks and manipulation and fraud. Because you're not first being clear, you're not first standing in your truth. You're not first being sure about what it is you see. It's like going into the grocery store without a shopping list. Now, I don't know how many of you all can do that. And come out of there, you know, with what you went in there to get, because you don't know what you went in there to get. You ain't got no list. You ain't got no idea. And so you see what they push closest to the aisles. You see what they put on the end of the aisle. You see what they're promoting. You see what they're marketing. You see what they want you to see. A man Without a plan, we'll always be subject to someone else's plan. Be clear about your plan. Be clear about what it is you're seeking. Don't just be a seeker. Don't just be a journeyman, because you can just journey and meander and seek and wander, and you don't know where you're going. You don't know where you've been. You don't know what you're looking for. You got to clarify your plan. You got to have a clear understanding of who you are, what you're standing on, and then what you're seeking, where you're going, what you're moving towards. I welcome each and every one of you. I'm grateful for your love and your support, the well wishes, those of you who understood that I was recovering from oral surgery. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I had wisdom. At my age, I had wisdom tooth extraction. Many people, I think, lose their wisdom tooths in their 20s, maybe in their 30s. It's kind of unusual to hold on to your wisdom teeth in this culture and society, to the age that I am at. So I am recovering. I can still feel it. It's going on. I'm not on codeine or a whole bunch of crazy, pain medications. I'm natural today. I'm natural, and so I'm grateful for the power of healing, the power of ancestors, the power of herbs and roots. Just the idea of being able to go out and pull a leaf off a tree, a bush, and chew that up, man, that's magic. If you haven't experienced that, being able to pull fruit, banana or kumquat, or yam or cucumber, off your own vine, out your own yard, that you've poured water on and fed and nurtured, man, there's power in that you would not understand if you haven't done it. If you're eating your vegetables directly from the grocery store, you don't get it. You don't get it. If you aren't taking your family home down south to the country, to the fields, seasonally, every summer, you don't get it. And there's power there. There's magic there. And I'm grateful. I'm also grateful to your questions, your comments, your requests, your well wishes. All is truly indeed a blessed in Trinity, supreme power, peace and blessings, multiply. Truly, I greet each and every one of you. I welcome you. I support you in your endeavors. I am here to birth gods and goddesses. I'm here to create kings and queens. I'm here to empower others to a level that has never been allowed to us before, whether it be through commercialism, greed, racism, white supremacy. We've always been blocked to having access to that which is us. And we've got to stop looking outside ourselves. I honor, I acknowledge, I respect Brazil and Haiti and Panama and Cuba and Honduras and all of our cousins, of which I share some of that blood. But we must stop looking for a supreme leader outside of ourselves, particularly when we're talking about our spirit, spirituality, religion, ATR. We've got to start looking at our own roots. We've got to start looking at our own lineage. We got to start looking at our own family, our own people. We got to start looking at our own selves and do the work to bring the healing. Because healing is something that comes from the inside out. So healing is something that you bring to the experience, to the moment, to the scenario, to the individual. It's something we bring. So we've got to bring that in every way possible. I don't focus on the competitors. I don't focus on the frenemies. I don't focus on the haters. I don't have time. I let my pit bulls and my watchdogs do that. I'm focusing on the work, 24 hours a day. And indeed, Carnival now is over. Give thanks. Mardi Gras now is over. Give thanks. Though I am sowing already for next year. I've already begun that process. But we're doing the work now. We're doing the work. Many of our elders, many of our great leaders who took a sabbatical are coming to the forefront, are pushing their way back to reestablish some kind of foundation here for us to continue to grow and evolve. There will not be a free-for-all in Voodoo. Not on my watch. Not in New Orleans, not in Louisiana, not in America. Not on my watch. There won't be. And I've learned in my years, my over half a century of years on the planet, that when your hands are open, keep both of your hands open, keep your heart open, keep your mind open, keep your third eye open, and all that you need will come to you. Literally and figuratively, all that you need will come to you. The resources will come, the people with the resources will come, the information will come, the people with the information will come, the confirmation will come, the people with the confirmation will come. Multiply. Multiply. So keep your hands open, keep your heart open, keep your mind open, keep your third eye open, and all that you need will come to you. All that you need will come to you. So the ancestors are standing up. They're clarifying who and what, when and where. And we're in the midst of it. We're in a powerful time right now, and to be alive in New Orleans, to be able to see the power of the ancestors' work. I'm grateful for you. I welcome your questions, your comments, your requests. Please, as Inyanga you has done, type them in capital letters so that I might see them and distinguish them from the other questions that are in the other comments that are in the chat. Do I read books on New Orleans, North American Voodoo, written by white people? That's a great question. I'm often asked for book lists. I'm often asked for, what do you read? And so there's two things I want to say before I hit the answer directly, okay? The first thing is, I'm a teacher. I'm a leader. I have a house of the DivinePrince. Hoodoo Central. I am the owner, the creator, the originator of Hoodoo Central. There's no other Hoodoo Central. There's no other Hoodoo Central outside of New Orleans, outside of Congo Square, outside of Treme, outside of House of the DivinePrince. There's no other Hoodoo Central. I know, I digress for a moment. But we teach. We have a very specific way of doing things. That is what sets us apart. That is what makes us different. So I'm not, quickly to just recite my book list for people. I'm just not. The other thing is, much of what I read is readily available. Now, if you're on Shelfari, Google Books, the various places where we store books online and social media, what I read is there. What I've read is there. Some of the books that I own are there. Some of the books that I use in my coursework, in my teachings are there. Now, to answer your question more directly, I tell people, and some of the people in this room can witness it, I say read everything. I say read everything. But in reading, you can't, I'm not saying skim books. I'm saying read. Who wrote it? Who authored it? Who are they giving thanks to? What is their motivation? Who are they empowered? I read everything. And reading something means you've read that book at least 5 times. Don't tell me you read a book once. Oh yeah, I know that, I got that. No, that's not reading. To me, that ain't reading. I want to understand the word. Oh, well, let me look up that word. I want to understand the location. Well, let me research that location. I want to understand what's being said. One of the first books I started with was the Gonzalez Whippler author, Sensory Experience. That was probably one of the very first books that I read. And I'm grateful for her because she taught me, just by reading her book, how to then read other people's books in younger youth. So I read everybody. I want to know what's being said. I want to know why it's being said. I want to know what their motivation is. I want to know what their interest is. And when we start going back in time, um, um, the early 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, because you can't study or talk about any of these magical traditions without looking at history, politics, who was where in the world, what was going on in the world. So we can't even really do a thorough study of Africa, for instance. Some of you know I studied Pan-African studies at the university level. Okay, so we couldn't find books on Africa just written by Africans, particularly when you're talking about 1800s, 1700s, some of those, periods of deep enslavement, colonization. Many of those books were being written then by the missionary, by the colonists, by the politicians, by the people who clearly had a goal, who clearly had a motive at that time for being present in our culture, in our stuff, in our lives, in our business, in our bloodlines. And so I say, read everything. I say, read everybody, because ultimately, truth is going to stand up. Even when someone is trying to hide it, conceal it, mask it behind humor or entertainment. I don't want to digress too much, but this whole concept of, naked voodoo ceremonies on the bayou in New Orleans had nothing to do with the real voodoo that was going on and being done here. It had to do with the people who those authors were writing to and the mentality of those people of that time period and culture. So listen, I'm the son of a retired educator. I'm the son of a teacher. So on my Saturdays, my Sunday vacations, my summer vacations, we were at the library. We were at the museum. So I have a very different attitude of what read is. Do I read written by? I have a very different mindset of that. Credibility important to me. Some of these authors outside of our community have actually come in and been given access to or gained access to information about stuff that Black authors had not had access to, didn't have access to, didn't write about. One of the most powerful examples of that, and I know this is going to be real controversial, what I'm getting ready to say, so while y'all popping in and out of the chat, you better pay attention. There was no documented proof of Marie Laveau until a white woman, a European woman, I want to say she's from Germany, Ina Fretnick, she's from Germany, right? Somebody help me. Ursula, don't you know? Ain't Ina from Germany? But before Ina came here and slept on Black people couches as a college student, studying, seeking, looking for documented proof of Marie Laveau, there was no proof that Marie Laveau was a real woman. She was a myth prior to that. So we have got to read everything and be clear about who these authors are. Be clear about them. And don't just assume because it's a Black woman that she's spitting truth. Don't just assume because it's a Black woman and a Black author and a Black book that it's the Bible of what these traditions and these practices are, particularly if you haven't read anybody. If you haven't read Mama Zogby, you don't know nothing about voodoo. If you don't know who Mama Zogby is, you know nothing about the voodoo presence in America, in Haiti, in the Americas, anything post Middle Passage. If you don't know who Mama Zogby is, you have no knowledge of this culture at all. So I say, beloved, read everything. I read everything. People who say, "Oh, I don't watch the news." Okay, that's fine, but I also question when I hear it. I'm thinking they probably don't read the newspaper either. So someone said, "Oh, I don't read newspapers." Okay, so my thinking is they probably don't know what Yahoo News, Google News, CNN.com, because we make these blanket, aggressive, radical, feel good, looks good in social media statements, comments, presence. Yes, Mama Safi is the business baby. We make these statements because it's a look, it's a fad, it's a pop cultural thing, because it's online. We're looking at each other online through our eyes. You see what you see what's in my house, you see what I wear, you see how I look, you see. Some of you are listening, some of you hear me, but some of you are listening, okay? But you're listening through your own prism. You're listening for what you're looking for. That's why I say if you come and you don't have a plan, you don't know what it is you want, you don't know what it is you need, then you're subject to anything. You're subject to anything. So I say, beloved, and I know I've answered your question thoroughly in Younger You, I read everybody. Now, you didn't ask me who do I keep. You didn't ask me who's in my library. You didn't ask me who, if you were here in the temple space and so you could see my books in the various parts of the house. You didn't ask me what I got out that's visible to people. Okay, that's a very different thing. That's about my personal feelings and my personal opinions and my personal, and we all have that. Especially if you know some of these authors. I know many of these authors. And I don't want to get into mudslinging or, y'all know I'm trying to be diplomatic about this. I know many of these authors that you're asking me about, Black, white, from other countries. I know many of these people. So again, when I read, I'm reading from a very different place from someone who says, I'm new, I'm green, I'm a virgin, I don't know anything about voodoo. Tell me what to read. That's a scary question for me, because just like I said, Santeria experience changed my life. That was the first book that I read in junior high school that was about Black culture, Hispanic culture, spirituality, Africa. The very first book for me was Santeria Experience. That changed my life. So when people say, what should I read? Which, I'm very careful about where I send you. And some of you assume, well, DivinePrince said to read this book, that book, then that must be the Bible. Don't take it like that. You got to read like you're in college. You got to read like you're at the university level. You got to read like you're trying to understand. So you read the small print, you read what's italicized, you read what's written in the margins. Don't skip those first 3 or 4 pages with the table of contents. I was taught to read. You read your title, you read the author's name, you read the copyright, where it was published. I read. When I was in school, they taught you how to navigate the library, how to use the Dewey Decimal System. So that's how I read. I read for details. I read for content. I read for information. Some of these books are popular because they are entertaining. Some of these books are popular because they are sensational. Some of these books are popular because they're very Black. And so they speak to, Black people in a certain way and all. They're connecting to my ancestors. And so let me read this. But if you are a well-read individual, if you are an initiated individual, your reading is very different. And so you understand that Santeria Experience, for example, she's not giving you any secrets. She's not giving you a whole lot of information. She's sharing her experience of Santeria. She talks about being taken to the ocean and being stripped naked and how she felt you know, when this was going on and them putting white clothes on her, but she don't go into no detail. Santeria experience made me want detail, made me want to know what she did not say. Santeria experience made me want to know what was behind all of that. And so I went to those people. I went to the Puerto Ricans. I went to the Cubans. I went to the Dominicans personally, directly to get that information. So I went to the people often first, then the book in younger. I went to the culture often first, then the book. I was hands-on doing it, then the book. Some of you know I play the piano. I've been a gospel musician since birth. I started playing the piano by ear at 2, 3. When kids are banging, banging, I'm hearing notes. When children are being percussionists as a toddler, I was hearing rhythms and patterns. But I had to get into school, elementary, junior high, senior high, college, before I took a class, read how to read music, you know, how to set up music, you know, all of that is the theory, the deeper understanding, the intellectualization of music. It's more than just I can sing, I can dance, I can keep a rhythm, I can maintain a pattern. It's so much more than that. So when we look at voodoo, when you look at yourself, you want to look deeper than the surface. I want to understand my mother, my father, her mother, his mother and father, her mother and father. Where did they come from? Where did their parents come from? Their lineage come from? That's how I read. That's how I read. And as a reader, a spiritualist, anyone who's taken any of who had any readings from me in this chat can attest that I read in a very similar fashion as a spiritualist. I build a foundation. I make clear that we understand where we are, what has happened just recently that applies to where we are, and then what do we do, and how does that translate into moving forward into the future? So we've got to get beyond being entertained about our culture. We've got to get beyond the good feeling about our culture and wanting something deeper than that. It's got to be more now than just a bow tie and a pretty smile. It's got to be more now than just, you know, I'm knocking on your door where you accept this watchtower. We've got to really be clear about who we are so that when we're presented with this information, these books, these opportunities, we then know how to operate and move with clarity, And just let me throw a little crystal into this for you. Because I can hear somebody in the ether saying, but I need help. How do I do that? How do I get clear now with all that I've been through, with all that's on my shoulders, with all that's in my past, with this children, this family now that I have to move? What do I do? How do I get clear? Even before book, I will start with the clearest natural piece of quartz crystal you can obtain. One that is not polished, one that is not cut, one that hasn't been tampered with by humanity in any way. If it's a sphere, if it's a crystal ball, if it has shape, it's been handled by man. It's been polished. It's been tumbled. It's been buffed. And so the records, just like your old LPs, your old 45s had that groove in it, and the needle would pick up the impressions from the groove. Okay, that's being polished off of your quartz that you're buying, you know, under $10, under $20, in the basket at the front of the store. All of the records have been polished off. If you look at the surface of this laser wand, this is called a laser wand, by the way, if you don't know. If you don't know your varieties of quartz, this is a laser wand. So if you look at the surface of that, that is not polished. That has lines, grooves, cracks, records, and sometimes they will look just like a record, just like a LP. In other cases, there'll be triangles. We call those record keepers. That will be present on the stone. This is a natural point, but it has been polished. That is why the outside, if you look at how the light hits it, how the light shines on it, that has been polished. Okay, right there. See that? There's no lines, there's no grooves, there's no indentations. That has been polished, clear. And this is done usually to highlight the inside of the stone, because the inside of this stone is perfectly clear. So they wanted to highlight that clarity. A practitioner who's using quartz for a specific purpose that needs clarity is looking for this. But if you're looking for age, ancestors, connection to the old, to the past, to the ancient world, to old records, to older understanding, you want older stones and stones that have not had the records, the vibrational patterns erased from them. That element has been removed from your polished form. In a natural form, that's still present. So this is my talisman. I've had this at least 35 years. I first wore it in a pouch. When I buy my new stones, usually they're not set in gold, silver, copper. I just buy them loose. They're cheaper loose. You can get a better grade of stone if you're buying loose. I would look beyond just your new age crystal shops. I would look at geology, museums, Smithsonian. They're likely to sell higher quality specimens. They're called specimens. Higher quality specimens that have been untouched by human hands. That's your best source. But if you know what quartz looks like, yard sales, thrift stores, you'd be surprised what you can find in some of those places hidden away in a display. I ask people for their displays. Is that a part of your display or is that for sale? You'd be surprised how often they will sell those huge clusters and those huge pieces of crystal if you would just ask, and ask like you know what it is. But I've had this at least 35 years. And so when I get a stone, I hand crochet, because you know me and Wapani hand crochet all our own stuff. And in doing so, you can create a bag that's specific in shape and size to the stone that you're working with. So for years, I kept this in a long pouch on my neck. And of course, with this acrylic yarn, this is acrylic, I can wear it in the shower. It can handle almost any weather. When I'm done at the end, you know, acrylic is really plastic. So you can melt it just a little bit and the end will close and you can secure your stones in it without worry about them falling out or coming out on you. And I can swim in it, shower in it, bathe in it, you know, go and dig herbs and roots in it. And it's always a part of my energy field. It's always present. Because when I get my stones, I suggest you bond with them at least 30 to 90 days. Meaning you want it on your body at least 30 to 90 days. Now, if you're talking about bigger pieces, generators, clusters, you know, of course, you can't have this on your body all day. So you're going to focus energy into this when you're working with it. Then you might keep it on your nightstand next to your head at night, or, you know, in the day. I have various altars strategically placed around the house where I keep stones for specific usage. And then you're just going to bond with those stones over time. But your amulets, your talismans, those are the stones that you're going to wear the most, carry the most, be a part of your energy the most. And like witnesses, like silent witnesses, like a computer that's always turned on with audio and visual, they are absorbing everything that you process. Everything that I process passes through this stone, Everyone who I interact with, any communication that we have, shaking hands, all of that energy passes through your stones. And that is why, we don't let people just walk up and grab your stone, touch your stone. That connection is already being made. People don't have to put hands on your talismans and your amulets, and they really shouldn't, unless they are your mentors, your spiritual godparents. You shouldn't let people handle your jewelry, handle your gemstones, handle your metals, because they absorb that energy. Welcome, everyone. Apparently, this is the information you all wanted to hear today. So I welcome you. Thank you for being present. So I suggest you've got to wear the stone at least 90 days, 30 to 90 days, but at least 90 days to really allow it. It knows you now. It knows your vibration. It knows your energy patterns. It has now synced with not only your energy, but that of the sun, the moon, the earth. It understands its new position. It's no longer in the ground, for instance. It's now on you, or part of your body shrine is another way of looking at it. And so when Hurricane Katrina happened, that was my opportunity to mount this into silver. And I prefer silver. I resonate better with silver. Silver is a moon metal, whereas gold is a sun metal. And so silver is receptive, intuitive, it pulls energy, it carries the feminine principle within it, nurturing, healing, repairing. If you don't know, silver is a natural antibiotic. Okay, that's Google. You can Google that. So I prefer silver. Silver heightens spiritual gifts, spiritual awareness, spiritual frequencies. Gold heightens intellect, wisdom, reason, math, science, much more rational, conscious thought processes. Silver operates when you're not thinking, when you're operating on emotion, when you're in the moment. The silver can absorb that, and it heightens that power in whatever stone, mineral that you set it in. For those of you who've not heard me talk about this before on YouTube, this is a double terminated stone. I don't have one near me to show you as a representative, but double terminated means that it has a perfected end on both ends. Both ends would have a end, a termination is what we call that has naturally formed windows and points. In some cases, as with this crystal, it doesn't form point, it forms multiple points. That's called, I can't get the camera to focus. I'm trying, but I can't get the camera to focus. I can't get it to focus. But if you could see this clearly, this is really hundreds of small points, perfected points. And so in your crystal books, that's called self-healing crystals. But it still classifies it as a double terminator. A natural double terminator would be like this. It would be a whole crystal, and both ends would be naturally formed. So this is a double terminator. You just can't tell because the other end is in the silver. And it's not enclosed, it's open in there. Inside there, it's open so that energy is free to move about. And so double terminated means that your crystal is able to both send and receive energy simultaneously. It can both receive, store, record, remember, process, organize energy. That's what it does in your computer. And it can project, send out images, send out energy, send out messages to other people, places, and things. So that is the importance of a double terminator. This also has chloride in it. Chloride. Chloride is another mineral that shows up inside your quartz as a green substance. Sometimes that green mineral is associated or accompanied by a red rust-looking mineral, which is hematite. When your hematite is polished, tumbled, it looks like this. It looks gray, metallic. But if you scrub this on a porcelain plate or across the sidewalk, this is going to leave a red trail of dust, like brick dust or rust, because it's an iron ore, and it shows up inside your quartz as a reddish looking material. So those of you who already have clear quartz, take the time to go back, look at all of your quartz, but look at it. I want you to look at it in a new way. Don't look at the outside, the shape, the windows. I want you to pay attention to what's going on inside the crystal. So pay attention to the colors, to the formations. Some of you have specialized quartz already in your possession. You just don't know it. I have bought pieces, for instance, this piece of earring jewelry. This was a part of a pair of earrings that I bought. But I kept them because after studying them very closely, I realized that they had inclusions in them. Phantoms, other fully formed crystals, other minerals. In your book work, they're called inclusions, crystals with inclusions. And I'm still answering the same original question. How do I do that? How do I get clarity? How do I get to that point of understanding what I want, what I need, how to move? I'm still answering that for those of you who are still following me. So you want a piece of crystal, just like you take vitamins, just like you take minerals, just like you're eating vegan, vegetarian, or whatever for your health, gluten-free, whatever you're doing. You're wearing this for the same reasons, except you're absorbing that now into the body, as opposed to taking a mineral internally. You're absorbing the energy and the light because the sunlight, the moonlight, the natural light is also passing through both the stone and your body. Light is also constantly passing through our bodies. Remember when you were a kid and you hold your hand up to like a flashlight, and your whole hand turns red and kind of translucent, and you can kind of see through, your hand? That is because we're just vibrating atoms. We're just vibrating molecules. We are not as solid and whole as our imaginations form, as our brains form. We need a certain illusion of wholeness so that we don't injure ourselves, so that we don't walk through a wall, so that we don't fall through a plate glass window. We need a certain understanding of limitation, of physical boundary. But your quartz, your crystals transcend that. So in processing your past, your pain, your challenges, all of your experiences, it assists you in that process. And depending on what specialized stones you choose to be your amulet, to be your talisman, it will focus specifically on doing that work. So I'm often asked, what is this? Why do I wear it? What does it mean? And I often don't go into detail. One, because it ain't your business. And two, because people will then try and use your magic against you. But in the most general terms, I wear this for self-healing, inward and outward healing. The past, many of you know I have a tragic upbringing, tragic background, tragic family, a lot of negative stuff, but also moving into the future. What I'm doing is revolutionary. What I'm doing is unheard of. What I'm doing is groundbreaking. So I need that clean up, cleansing, purifying, protection, defense of that which has already gone before. But also the empowerment that's embedded in it carries me then into the future. I can prosperate. Prosperate is a magical word. It means to move through something, not around it, not over it, not under it, not how can I get through this and avoid that. Prosperation in magic is about moving right through a thing, taking something that was meant for your your bad and turning it into your good. Taking something that was laid down as a curse, that was sent to harm you, that was meant to do you destruction, and then capturing it and gaining power from it. That's prosperation. So your crystals can assist you in prosperating through. Another term is oh wow, I just drew a blank. Crystals that have the ability to empathize, to accept and receive our pain, our misfortunes, have a particular word in crystallology. In fact, empathic crystals. Empathic crystals will absorb the blow for you. So sometimes those stones might crack, might chip, might change physical form on you because they will absorb the stresses that were directed at you either through humanity or through nature, through life. Those are called empathic stones. But the longer you wear a stone, the more it aligns itself with what is in your best interest. It will block that which you don't need, and it will draw to you that which you need. And then a final point is programming your stones, giving it a thought, giving it an intention, giving it a goal, giving it a clear understanding. And of course, that's always going to change. That's going to always evolve. Each time you close your eyes and sit still and pay attention to your breathing and meditate consciously within your stones, you're giving it new information about where you're going, about where you're headed, about what you want, about what your expectations are. And it will absolutely help you do the work, help you get through the healing. Some of you are still struggling with seeing a therapist, seeing a psychiatrist, seeing a psychologist, talking to a pastor, a minister, a spiritualist, getting outside help. You know, some of you still are finding that to be challenging. The crystal will help you to not to better prepare you for that, though it will do that, but it can help you to do the self-healing work. It can help you to do some of that work on your own. It can help to give you a sense of autonomy in your healing, and then get you to a place where you then might be able to access some of those other outside resources, spiritual resources, mental health resources, in a way that you feel safe and you feel confident. So the ancient Egyptians, the ancient world put a lot on crystal, mineral, and stone. I talk about the power of Maria Gonzalez Whippler's Santeria experience on my young life. But second to that would be the power that ancient Egypt had on my young adult life. And so I wasn't caught up in, you know, the pharaohs and the kings and the queens. I was caught up in why are they burying people with billions of material dollars worth of gold, silver, gemstones, minerals, quartz, quartzite. I wanted to know what that was all about. I wanted to know why the pyramid was standing with this quartz embedded material and no one was looking at the magic of that, the power of that, the electrical current involved in that. Now we know that that has changed since the 70s. We see that on TV now. We see that on Ancient Aliens now. We see that on Discovery Channel now. And we know that now science is looking at that. But the realm of spirit and spiritualists, we've been talking about that, playing around with those ideas for a long time. They're just now being confirmed, if you will. I'm looking for your capitalized questions, comments, requests. Beloved, NHKN, I need some help with that. Okay? I need you to either type phonetically what I'm supposed to call you, what that means. I don't know if it's an acronym. I'm not understanding. And I'm being innocent and honest. Just help me understand, what am I looking at when I look at your name? And if that's to be pronounced and how it should be pronounced. I don't want to just kind of talk at you while we're doing the show without being able to at least give honor and respect to your name. But I appreciate your question, and I'm going to move into the question. Atisha Twiley, forgive me, I didn't see your question originally. I didn't capitalize it. I do absolutely meditate. Meditate is a part of magic. You can't do E5, voodoo, anything without meditation, without understanding transcendental meditation. I haven't talked about it a whole lot here, but you can't do voodoo without that. You can't do voodoo without knowing what you eat and understanding your diet and understanding what you're putting into your body. Satisha, yes, absolutely, I meditate. It's a critical part of any magical practice. You have no control of your body. You have no control of your power. You don't know how to focus your power. When we think about a wand, a magic wand of any sort, it's implied that you're focusing energy. You're sending a thought form, a vision, a power to a specific person, place, or thing. So you have to meditate. You have to focus. Even in fairy tales, for instance, we think of the Wicked Witch, in magic, and she looks at you and points that wand, and she's got to see you as a frog before it happens. She's got to envision that. She's got to know what I'm changing you into. Another pop cultural phenomenon that I was crazy about as a child was Bewitched. I loved Bewitched. There was so much about Bewitched to me that was real, that spoke to real spiritual laws if you could just allow your imagination to take you there. And to combine your imagination, your moon energy, with your sun energy, logic, reason, and math. Bewitched was a powerful show to me. So yeah, you have to know meditation. You have to be in tune with your body, with the planets, with the moon, with the earth. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yes, Ina uncovered the birth of Marie Laveau, who she really was as a person. So we've got to give respect to those who give respect to truth. We've got to give respect to those who give respect to authenticity. Now, your question is about, okay, new heptet, chi, metric, comet. Give thanks. Give thanks. I am grateful for understanding. Give thanks. Now I know what I'm looking at. Now I feel the power of your name. Hotep Wu. Give thanks. Okay, now copper is a very based metal. If we look at the moon as, if we look at silver as the moon and look at gold as the sun, we look at copper as the earth and Mother Earth. Some paths associate Emmecca with copper. Some paths associate Oshun with copper. Some paths say that copper is Oshun's original metal. Some associate copper with Oya, but Oya is earth. And all of these deities, the Orisha, indeed have earth elements to them. Emmecca, Oshun, Oba, Oya, they all have an element of earth. So they all can operate and utilize copper in various ways. But copper is also electrical. It can carry an electric current in a way that other minerals cannot. So when I create my wands, for instance, I have copper tubing that I use, and then I embed the quartz into the tubing, and then I fasten that, adhere that on the end with silver. So the copper allows for the electrical current to be created. I believe ancient Egyptians understood this and created pottery that had the elements of copper embedded in it, and then could put produce like potatoes, for instance, that will change physical composition as they begin to decay and create a currency. Some people are familiar with the Baghdad battery. So copper carries electricity, which is why when you wear copper, beloved Kemetic, it changes colors on you. I clean my copper with ketchup. The acidity and some of the other components to ketchup I find to be the best cleaner for copper. And it will make your copper not only shine like gold, it'll shine like rose gold if you apply and utilize the copper, the ketchup on the copper. And then when you wear it, that will first provide a protective layer to the copper. So your copper won't turn as quickly. But then if you're sick or in a negative environment or are processing negative through your body, that copper will begin to change and will change color. So you got to get in tune with your jewelry and why you're wearing jewelry. And so that's why your copper has that, when you don't wear copper and just let it sit on the shelf or in the box or on your altar, it turns real dark. It's absorbing all the energy in the room now. So when you're wearing it, whether it's on the right side or the left side, there's a natural current moving in your body. You pull energy in through your left arm and you project energy out through your right. So as that energy enters your field, it is now in sync with the energy that's moving through your body. And so when you wear your copper, it don't change as often, as quickly, as easily when it's just sitting on the shelf. Now, many of you have copper. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's pulling all that from the room. And I suggest where that's happening, you should keep a clear vessel of water. You might have a child that's experiencing night terrors, nightmares, unpleasant energy at night when they're trying to sleep. Keep a clear vessel of water either near their head, like on the night shelf, or on the floor or underneath the bed. And then throw that water out every day. You'll notice that piece of copper won't be turning as dark as often and as regularly, because that energy is now being trapped in the water as opposed to going directly into that copper. So those of you who wear copper regularly, routinely, you might be washing your copper when you're in the shower every day. Just like I don't take my silver off. I don't take this off. So I clean that every day in the shower because it's picking up contaminants from your energy, from the air, and also real physical contaminants. When you're operating in the world, you would normally brush something, bump something, but that's collecting now into your jewelry. So I appreciate copper. I have a lot of copper. I have very specific uses for copper. I have very specific uses for brass. I have very specific uses for gold. I have very specific uses for silver. This is why I'm DivinePrince. This is why my value is what it is. Some of you want to know, why do they keep supporting him? Why do they keep calling this guy back? What is he doing for these people that he's so popular? That's why. That's why. And I can't just readily give it away because many of you are here just to take it, just to steal it, just to perpetrate it for yourself. So I can't just give it out, but sometimes I leak it. If you're listening, sometimes I'll leak it, So every mineral has purpose. Every metal has a very distinct purpose in the physical realm and in the spirit realm. And scientists know this. The oppressor knows this. They know what the computer chip in your computer is and is doing. They know what the rubies and the other stones in your lasers and your other devices is really doing and how that works. But if you're studying your stones or you're studying your minerals and you're allowing them to teach you, because your stones will teach you, your quartz crystals will pass this information on to you, and then will qualify it in the real world. They'll give it to you, and then you'll go to the library and find yourself in the math section, in the science section, in a technology section, reading something, for God's sake, that you never would have read before, and it'll connect the dots for you. That was my experience. So I support copper. I just don't wear it a lot for some of the reasons I just told you. You have to be very active with your copper because it is collecting such energy. You have to be very aware. I tend to wear copper more in the winter. I find it to be less temperamental in the winter. In the summer, your copper, that heat does something to it, and that electricity and that current is somehow enhanced. And so your copper changes quickly and often in the summer, unless you're using ketchup. And what I do is I wash it off, soap and water, then I slather it with ketchup and lay it in the sink for about an hour. And then I come back and just take the towel and the ketchup and just wipe the entire copper piece, and it'll shine like rose gold. Do not put ketchup on your copper and leave it for 24 hours, 2 days, 3 weeks. It will eat through your copper. It will then turn your copper into malachite. Malachite. When your copper starts turning and changing green, that's malachite. That's what that is. That green that's on your arm is malachite. Malachite is a copper derivative. So that's what the green is. Back in the day, you buy cheap jewelry, fake jewelry made out of other minerals. It's the malachite coming through the other minerals that's coming to the surface. That's what that is. So there's always a deeper meaning, a deeper understanding. And if you're not studying with someone like me, they're probably not giving it to you. Tisha, you are a Leo. You're asking me now for very specific, personal information. And so for you and for everyone in the group, I invite you to email me at DivinePrince, DIVINE, DivinePrince, at houseofthedivineprince.com. And I'll be more than glad to assist you with your more personal request. There's a component I have to look at. Who you are, your birthday, some other stuff that I'm not going to say here live on the air, in order for me to give you the most specific response to that question. You say, I am a Leo. When I say I am a Virgo, when the next person says I am, you're speaking in a very general term, especially if we're looking at astrology, because you're more than just a Leo. You're also your sun sign, your moon sign, what planets were in transition when you were born, what time of day. There are too many other components that go with I am a Leo. Okay, don't believe the books that say, you know, this month, this stone. That was created by the jewelry industry so that people would continue to buy wedding bands, wedding rings, jewelry for babies and newborns, and of course, astrology-based jewelry. But that's too generic. That's too general. For instance, Virgos, they say Virgos operate in blue, Virgos operate in sapphire, Virgos operate in lapis lazuli. Okay, but there's other components to a Virgo. There's fire, there's water. I do natal charts. I absolutely do. I do astrology charts, dark soul jua. I do. Tisha, that's what you're asking about. What Dark Soul Jua is posting, Tisha, that's what we need to do. Then I can be more specific about this question. Now, you might have a natural allegiance to ruby. I do. I use ruby a lot in some of my more personalized works. I won't get into a whole lot of details right now about why and what I do with ruby. But ruby is helpful for creating certain types of bonds. Rubies and garnets, bonds such as theft, preventing people from coming into a space and taking something, stealing something from you. And we know theft can be carnal, it can also be spiritual, it can also be personal. It's theft of your integrity, theft of your emotions, theft of your goodwill and your good intention. Ruby also creates blood bonds. Rubies in the ancient world were often a crystallized form of blood, like a blood substitute, much like we envision palm oil and ephod today. So blood bonds can be made with rubies. And if you notice, rubies aren't very common, aren't very popular. You don't see a whole lot of rubies in jewelry stores. You don't see a whole lot of rubies in your new age crystal shops. But they're abundant and they're absolutely affordable in many cases. But you got to be clear, are you getting ruby? Are you getting Burmese ruby? Be sure you're getting ruby in its most natural form, and then we can talk a little bit more about that. I appreciate your question. They give me an opportunity to not only respond to you, Divine All Blessed Quarter Pass, Mad Max, Fury Road. I totally understand and get you. I totally understand and get the name for sure. Welcome and thank you for being present. But yes, Tisha, I'll be glad to help you with that. We can do some crystal work. We can do some natal chart work as Dark Soul Jua suggested, and then we can get some clarity. And the truth is, just like your vitamins, you know, your vitamins have vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin C, you know, you need your beta carotene, you need your this, and you need your that. We all need all of these stones. Just like we all need all of the signs of the zodiac. All of the signs in astrology exist within you somewhere. But as Dark Soul Jua is sort of suggesting or implying with that question, without fully understanding your natal chart, you don't know how much of what you're operating with. You know, your sun sign might be Leo, but you might be Taurus behind that. You might be Gemini behind that. You might have other signs that are greatly influencing you at the emotional level, at the intellectual level, at the level of water in your body, the fire in your body, the air in your body, the other elements that exist within your body. And then that's how you get clarity with that information. Horoscopes and zodiac, for instance, have been really reduced and watered down just through pop culture, popularity. You wake up in the morning to the newspaper and, you know, you got your daily horoscope. It's very generic. It's very basic. There are other ways to interact with that magically. For instance, in New York City, I used to be in a union. I was a janitor, maintenance guy at Columbia University back in the day. And so there's a union in place there. And many of those individuals gambled, bet on the numbers, gambled. And they used publications, magazines, newspapers, horoscope, imagery and cartoons that was posted daily. But they would pull numbers from that. They would pull symbolism from that. So I'm not suggesting horoscopes and astrology is not useful. It is indeed useful. And there is a way to pull very unique personalized energy and information from that that's specific to you that I can teach you. I ain't gonna teach it right here, but I can teach that to you. And so without your natal chart, you can't look at that as closely as I would need to. Thank you, Tisha, for also asking and posing that question, because sometimes I wonder, when I post regular videos on YouTube, I'll often get, how do I reach you? How do I contact you? And so I wonder, do people even look at the YouTube profiles at all? That goes back to the question, and younger you asked much early on about reading. How much do you guys really read? How much do we really pay attention to detail? So yeah, it is on my profile, but I'm about to give it to you again anyway. It is DivinePrince. Divine has two I's and one E. Two I's and one E. DIVINE, Prince, DivinePrince at House of the Divine Prince.com. And some of you know my private email, Emmecca at yahoo.com. My last name, Emmecca, EMMECCA at yahoo.com. All of my mail ends up there. But all of my website, contact information, other ways in which you can contact me are on my profile. But that's a question that I'm curious about. Almost like I need to ask a survey. How many of you actually look at these profiles? How many of you are actually reading what's written on these profiles? How many of you are actually validating yourselves and each other by what is being said and posted on these profiles? Whether it's in YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, I am the real deal no matter where you find me. I don't care what site, what profile, I'm exactly who I say I am, and I'm consistent, and I'm the same person everywhere. So keeping up with me, my website, my email should be relatively easy and consistent. That's hard to do for some of you. And indeed, for some of these perpetrating as practitioners out here, you can hardly find a recent face picture on these people. You can't find their email. You can't find their physical location. You can't find people who know them, who family, friends, who've known them 30, 40, 50 years. They just pop up out of nowhere, create some crazy, handle, username, and then claim to be a practitioner. And many of you are losing money, time, energy, sleep, generations playing around with these people. And I say generations because they're doing stuff to y'all that is going to affect your children and your grandchildren. So your nephews. One of you just had a cousin murdered just in the last 24 hours. And it's because of the work that you thought you was doing previous to that, which had nothing to do with your family members. Nothing to do with your family member. But that energy is real. I can't remember which scientists proved it, but all energy was created at the beginning of creation, the Big Bang. Everything, positive and negative, all energy was created at once. So there's no idea I'm going to create something new. There's the idea that I'm going to attach, I'm going to latch on to something that's already been done. Put that over there. There's the idea of latching on to something that's already been done, doing it in a new way, evolving it, bringing something that's unique to you. But there's nothing new under the sun, as old folk used to say. All energy is here. So cleaning, getting rid of, that energy now has to go somewhere. We ain't just getting it off of us and just letting it go free. In that case, it's now traveling to your children. It's now traveling to your friends. It's now on your peer group, just like a cold, a flu, a virus. One person, one child can bring that into a space, and now the whole classroom have it. And then the teacher brings her family, and on and so on. So energy is just like that. Just like that. It's real. In the spirit realm, it's dark matter. It has form that we can't measure, that we can't see, that we can't calculate, but it's real. It takes up space. Science says dark matter takes up more space in the universe than physical matter that we believe we see, know, and understand. So that energy has to go somewhere. So some of you think, I don't want to get too deep in this voodoo thing. I don't want to get too deep in this Ifa thing. So all you're doing is having readings done and having cleansings done. Well, all I'm doing is getting cleansed. All I'm going to do is let them smudge me down. All I'm going to do is let them smoke me out, let them spray me, let them, you know, those are some of the most frightful, intense, and dangerous things that you can be partaking, because energy is real. Energy is real. And so if you don't know, spirits is trying to talk, they're gonna cuss. The ancestors are saying, listen, if you don't know these people, you don't know what's going on with them, you can't qualify them, you can't verify them, you can't speak to how they are operating and walking and what they say and do each and every day. These people have no business reading you. They have no business claiming you. They have no business spraying no smoke, no rum, no water, no nothing on you. They have no business putting no olive oil on you. They have no business laying their hands on you. If you aren't clear about these people, this is real. Some of y'all are scared of blood. Some of y'all are scared of sacrifice. Some of y'all are scared of all the fakeness that Hollywood and pop culture and imagination have created around this. But what y'all really should be scared of is readers going in and out of your energy, going in and out of your past and future, going in and out of your child and your husband and your lover and your loved one and your wife's energy on that table. You heard me say in a previous show, every time you crack a deck of tarot cards, you are playing with fate. You have no business sitting around throwing your cards, looking at them. Even if you claim you studying, if you studying them, read the book that came with the cards. Don't be cracking the cards open, playing with them. And it's the same thing with these cleansings. Y'all think, well, it's innocuous, it's benevolent, it's innocent. All she did was spray me down. All she did was put smoke on me. All she did was do Reiki and wave her hands around me. She directed energy at you, in you, around, through you, and you openly volunteered to have it happen. That's when you are in the most dangerous positions ever if you're talking about playing around with these traditions. Reading is reading. Read everything. Read everything. Study everything. But when you start laying on hands, when people start waving their hands, when people start moving stuff to you and around you, just like I'm doing right now, they are directing energy at you. And you got to be clear about that. That's not innocent. Some of these events, you are opening up some of these events with a group of people smudging folks. Have you ever noticed that I'm not in that line? Have you ever noticed that? If I'm not doing that cleansing, I'm not in that line. And I show up after that shenanigan is over. When we're ready to process, that's when Team Black Hawk Voodoo show up. I'm not about to have a bunch of wannabes. And in the worst case scenario, the individual of a reprobate mind. The individual with a reprobate mind can't be taught anything, won't learn anything, won't humble themselves to an elder, to a leader, to someone with experience, won't humble themselves to knowledge. They think they know. They think they understand. They think they got it down with clarity. That's the reprobate mind. You can't do anything but be quiet with a person of a reprobate mind. They're going to overtalk you. They're going to overstand you, meaning to stand over you, to make their vision superior to your vision. And that's toxic. It's toxic to you. It's toxic to the community. It's toxic to the space in which this energy is being projected in. So you don't find me in that space. It's been a few years since you've seen me. in that space because of what I'm telling you right now about energy. About energy. Energy can only be transferred from one place to another, from one location to another, from one thing, person, place, or thing to another. But it's in motion. So you can catch the wave of good energy, of ashe, of positive energy, of healing, of prosperity, of growth, of evolution. But you can also catch, just like you catch a cold, some bullshit. You can catch illness. You can catch dis-ease. You can catch imbalance from people. And it's often going to come from your inner circle. There's a saying in the entrepreneurial world, you're going to only be as wealthy and as successful as your 10 closest peers. That's usually going to be from your friends, your family, or your co-workers or who you do business with. That is who you spend the most time with. And so if those people are super critical all the time, super negative all the time, quick to read, quick to diss, quick to pull people apart all the time, know with clarity you're being picked apart. Know with clarity you are being filled with dis-ease because you sit and you listen. You sit and you take that in. You co-sign with a laugh, with a smile, with a grunt, with a girl, yeah. With a yes, indeed. You're latching on now to that energy. I'm going to teach y'all how to look. I'm going to teach you how to see. I'm going to teach you how to use your third eye. Remember what I said about an hour ago. Don't pay no attention to none of this. Don't pay no attention to what's behind me. Don't pay attention to what I wear. Don't pay attention to how much hair I got on my face. Don't pay attention to how long my hair is or is not. Pay attention to what I do. Pay attention to what I say. Pay attention to what I predict. Pay attention, most importantly, to my demonstration. To my demonstration. For what you say is what you believe, is what you do. It shows up in your demonstration. Say you're healthy. Say you're all powerful. Say you're all spiritual. But you look a mess. Your body is a mess. Your emotions are a mess. Your family environment is a mess. Your inner circle is a mess. But you claim gold status. I'm going to teach you how to see. I'm going to teach you how to listen. I'm going to teach you how to understand. Stop getting caught up in the illusions. TV commercial illusions, world illusions, Fendi bag and Louis Vuitton illusions. Stop getting caught up in the illusions. Dreadlock illusions, wrapped hair illusions, unwrapped hair illusions, kufis and crowns and look. It's just material. It can be bought and or earned. It can be gifted. It can be stolen. What can't be stolen? What can't be tampered with? What can't be tainted? Come from in here. Come from in here. And then that shows up in your demonstration. When you open your mouth and when people are observing you, when you believe you are not being observed. When people are watching you, when you believe you're not on stage. When people are paying attention to you, when you think you're in the company of your close peers and everything, we all got our hair down. Now let me talk about this person, talk about that person. Let me tear this person down. Let me tear this system down. Let me unvalidate everything that came before me. Let me unvalidate every elder that stands ahead of me. Watch yourself. Watch yourself. I'm not talking about the demon. The demon has their day. I'm talking about you. Watch yourself. because that energy now is being transferred to you. See, I shut it down. I cut it off. Mardi Gras Indians, you get that. I cut it off. Don't come to me with it. Don't bring it here. Don't shit on my front doorstep. I don't let your dog or your cat do it. I'm certainly not going to let you humans do it. Don't dump on my door. Don't bring it here. I'm moving it forward. So if you're understanding, if you're understanding, if your third eye is open, then God be with you. The ancestors be with you. Give thanks. But if you're walking with blinders on, there are many people here waiting to lead you, leading you into their world, their vision, their darkness. So I invite you to do the work. I know for some of you who came in late, it seems like I've been all over the place, but please go back in your leisure and convenience and review the show. It'll all make sense to you. It'll all tie in together. A lot has been said here in this space for both my local audience and my international audience. And I'm grateful for you. I'm indeed grateful for you. There's some really big, major projects coming ahead. We got photographs coming from our April 1st ceremony soon. So please wait for that. You know, every year I have an annual April 1st ceremony. For reasons I'm not going to discuss right now, it has become very exclusive. So it's a private event. If you're not in ahead, you won't be in on the tail end. All you'll have access to, as we've done in previous years, will be photos from the event. So I invite you to check back for that. If you indeed have questions, comments, requests, please email me. Go to my website, and you can either email me or send me a direct communication through my contact form at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. All is truly and indeed a blessing. As far as I know, let me look at my calendar real quick. I should be present with you on tomorrow. That would be Thursday, April 11th. I don't know why my Google Calendar is taking so long to load. Yeah, I should be here tomorrow. I should be here tomorrow at high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time, for more revolutionary voodoo, New Orleans Hoodoo secrets and recipes. The next day, Friday, I will be off. I'll be filming on Friday, but I'll be back again then on Monday. I'm always humbled, honored, appreciative of those who show support for the show. For indeed, without you, I could not and would not continue to do this show. If I get the sense that it's not valued, if I get the sense that it's not appreciated, if I get the sense that people are not willing to support this show, just as with my Blog Talk Radio, I'm going to stop doing it. So as long as you all want this show, as long as you all need the show, as long as you all continue to support the show and support me in doing the show, I got a fruit fly. I'm going to continue to be here and be present with you at high noon. So until next time, Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe, may our Ebo be Tarun, may our Ebo be accepted, may our Ebo allow what we desire to come to pass. And we always